Welcome to the Retail Management Hero POS Store Manager software overview. We'll begin by logging into the Store Manager user interface. RMH back-office software is easy to use with a similar feel to the Microsoft applications you may already be familiar with. You can see the list of Store Manager modules to the left of the screen, and that is the main navigation menu. Let's begin with the Merchandising module. The Merchandising module will give access to everything pertaining to inventory item management, from creating and editing item records to the setting up of item messages that will prompt cashiers during transactions with things they need to repeat back to the customer. There is an item creation wizard which manages the standard in which you create new item records, such as required fields, prefixes, suffixes, and other similar parameters. Next, we have matrix item management, as well as item hierarchy, with departments and categories being subordinate to departments. Moving down the list, RMH has discounts and discount structures. These could be combo discounts like buy X, get Y for Z, cross-sell, or upsell. There are options to set discount schedules for things that happen on a routine basis every day or every few hours in a day, similar to a happy hour schedule. Next, we have the label and inventory wizard. These wizards allow you to perform tasks with items that impact a lot of records at the same time. For example, the label wizard allows you to print labels either for an individual item label or shelf tag, or you can print for as many items as you have on hand. The inventory wizard also allows you to perform the same processes with single or multiple items and their item data. We will explore the wizards in further detail a bit later. The ribbon menu at the top of the screen is convenient and consistent throughout your navigation of the Store Manager software, and allows you quick access to the modify buttons for copy, delete, and more for use while creating records. This makes things like printing labels very easy. By simply selecting an item and then clicking the label option from the top menu, you can quickly print a single shelf tag or label for this 6-pack of Bud Light. Or you can print for as many of these as you have on hand. Once you set the quantity, it will allow you to print the 52 labels for the stock on hand and walk you through the process of selecting the label template and generating on the fly. The screen layout here is not unique to just items. It runs in similar form across the other modules, where customers would be managed in the Customer module and purchasing managed in the Inventory Purchasing module. A nice thing about the layout is the easy way you can add and remove columns. The layout of the column data presented here in each list view is unique to the inventory item data that you want to view. You may add or remove columns by simply checking or unchecking the boxes to show the data fields you need. Once you have arrived at the list you like, then you can memorize the layout, and it will stay that way until further changes are made and saved. The Inventory Wizard, as mentioned previously, allows users to perform a lot of bulk item edits at once. Available are a variety of actions like changing item prices, or maybe a use case such as reviewing items that have not been sold in a particular time frame in order to put them on clearance and print new shelf tags. In this scenario, the first thing to identify is the items that fall under that criteria. We can use a custom filter and look for items that have not been sold within our specified date range, so things that we have not sold in the last 6 to 12 months. We can set these dates from 1 year ago up to 6 months ago, add the filter, and press OK. Next, we can set the discount from the regular price. There are options to mark up from cost, set the profit margin, or have an offset from cost. But for this example, we'll discount from the regular price and mark them down by 20%. We can also set this discount to run for specific dates, so we'll designate the clearance sale from this Saturday through the end of the month. We can also do some rounding here, so you can set prices to whatever is preferred as far as rounding, such as rounding to 99 cents. Then from here, we can view the list that is generated of all the qualifying items. This allows you to review the items for any you may wish to remove from the discount list. For instance, you may decide that the Chivas Regal is not one to be included, so it can be easily deleted. By pressing OK, these changes will all be made to the records at the same time. We could also export this list, perform manual data manipulation in a flat file like an Excel spreadsheet, and then import the changes back in once made in that external file. For this example, we'll go ahead and complete this action, commit the values, and we'll see that 73 records have been updated in the database very quickly and easily. You can also make changes to an individual item on demand. Say for instance, you want to look up items that have Merlot in the description. The database returns all of the matching records and now shows a handful of items that we may need to modify in some way. Perhaps we want to verify that each of these has the correct department and category of wine and Merlot. It's easy to validate that and also run through each item one by one. You can then realign any items as needed that may have been misassigned. Each time we navigate to the next item using the ribbon above, it moves down the list. The simple-to-use interface makes for quick and easy item changes. To get into the detail view of any particular item, you can simply double-click on that item and see into that item record's granular details. There are several navigation tabs to be accessed that will expose the different data sets relevant to how the inventory is managed. The Inventory tab, for instance, we'll blow this up for a moment, allows you to look at sales traction information, assign restock levels, set min-max reorder points, and set restock levels. It also gives a preview of how many of these same items are currently on order. It looks like this is an item that we have 6 in stock, and typically the minimum value is 24 based on what we have set for our reorder point. You can see that we have 18 inbound, so that will bring us back to the minimum stock level as soon as this purchase order is received. Now, how do we know that we have 18 inbound? Because there is a purchase order, number 70 here, that is inbound and has not yet been received, but it has already been placed. You can also see the 2 other historical purchase orders we have received from Standard, who is the vendor, and we ordered 30 and received 30, so this is a well-performing vendor. We can also look at sales traction information. This week we've sold 22, last week we only sold 2, so this month we've sold 24 units, and last month we sold 26 units. On average, we're selling about 25 units per month for the last 2 months. It allows you to have that same preview of historical sales data for this year, last year, and so forth, which allows you to drive up or down your values so that you don't end up in an overstock or understock situation. You also have access to key performance indicator data, which gives you your profit margin as a percentage, and also the inventory turns by cost and quantity. The Purchase tab allows us to view what is the minimum order quantity as set by this particular supplier. You can also set up different units of quantity based on how you purchase and sell this particular item. It lets us see if this item has a fixed master pack quantity, which means that if you only wanted to order 5 of these items, you cannot, since this item is packed in quantities of 6. The supplier may also have a finite or short-term special that you may want to note just in case you perform a purchase order within that same period. We'll use an example where the vendor has a special that is running this month, so we can set the begin and end dates. And this item that we typically purchase for $8.37, we're being allowed to purchase at $7.95, as long as we can commit to a quantity of 36 units. This vendor special will now stay on record, and if we happen to run a PO during the set time frame, it will kick in that special pricing to make sure that we take advantage of it. Product Detail View also allows you to see and edit the rich detail of a product's attributes. Here you can see the product description, extended description, and any other descriptions you have defined, and can also be labeled with your unique fields that are specific to your products. You're also able to store digital images of the product, supplier notes, or any other relevant information that you need for your e-commerce integration. Items that are flagged for e-commerce integration will be noted as such in the Options tab. This particular item is one that is already flagged for sale online, hence the checkbox marked here. Let's review the Customer Management module. The Customer Management module list view displays both accounts and customers. Customers are subordinate to accounts. If you have accounts receivable roll-ups, you may also track the individuals who are authorized to make purchases, and you can have the roll-up accounts receivable into an individual AR account. Right from the AR view or the account view, you can also generate on-demand statements or monthly statements as the end of the month process. The customer profile is available to the back office user for editing customer details, such as bill to or ship to addresses, and you can also view the customer's purchase history, which includes access to the digital journal record of transactions that shows the receipts the customer walked away with. Also available is additional information you wish captured about this customer. Maybe they have renewed their membership and it's extended for another year, or you could save images of the customer so as they arrive at the point of sale, you can identify them by their photo. The customer profile also gives access to a parent account that is associated with this individual customer. Here you can view accounts receivable details and also review any open invoices for this particular customer right from the ledger view. From this point, any necessary adjustments can be made to the customer account. When accounts receivable payments are collected on the point of sale front end, they are published to the back office in real time. Let's pull up Troy's customer profile on the point of sale and process a payment presented to offset a few of his recent open invoices. We'll go ahead and make a payment on the account, and then we have the option to apply a specific value. Since all of the invoices have the same date, we may apply a payment of $600 that will cover 3 of the open invoices. Or we can designate which invoices to apply the payment and choose from the available list so that the total due for these invoices will be presented. Once the payment has been collected on the point of sale front end, we can refresh the back office customer view and see the updated status of the customer AR. This very same information is also accessible directly from the account view. The Inventory and Purchasing module houses everything to do with replenishment. Here we can see the list view of all the suppliers, and we have the ability to add and remove column data that we wish to see here. We can also dig deeper into the details of these supplier profiles and view or edit their additional information and specifications stored in the supplier record fields, including notes that are here for the supplier, as well as the minimum order amount they impose for each PO, relevant in the purchase order we will view here momentarily. The purchase order list view shows all of the open purchase orders. Brand new purchase orders can be generated manually or via the purchase order requisition wizard. This wizard allows automation of the order replenishment for items that already have min-max values assigned. If you have items with the reorder information populated, the wizard will generate these required purchase orders. There is also the option to simply replenish items that we have sold within a specified date range. In this case, let's assume that we do our purchasing bi-weekly, so we can set the wizard to replenish everything that we have sold in the last 2 weeks. Here we will designate to order from the primary suppliers. Then we can further designate which suppliers to order from. The system then reviews all of our sales records for the period that has been specified and stages the requisition, which is not yet a purchase order, but allows the review of items that the system is recommending be replenished. For simplicity here, We'll select all of the suggested records and generate purchase orders for those suggested items. And here are the 5 new purchase orders. In the purchase order detail, the preferred shipping carrier for the PO merchandise can be specified. This is where requested date and date placed can be set. The item list view allows viewing the details of the PO items and the suggested order quantities. The system also presents valuable information so that educated ordering decisions can be made. In this particular example, for this 1.5 liter Little Penguin Merlot, we have 48 units that the system is suggesting be ordered and shows there are 20 units on hand. However, the system also shows that only 6 units are available, which means that 14 of the 20 on hand are already committed to pending orders. Now, let's look at the sales traction information and see whether it supports a replenishment level of 48 units. This week we sold 22, this month we've sold 24 total units, and last month we sold 26. So we're averaging about 25 units for the last 2 months. Ordering the suggested 48 units plus the 6 still on hand would equal about 2 months worth of stock and would be a good purchase. Now, if the numbers were compelling in the opposite direction, you could simply adjust the reorder quantity down or remove this item from the PO altogether. The system also shows historical sales information in dollars sold as well as profit dollars. Viewing order history gives insight into how many units were ordered last time and how the vendor performed in regards to delivery and last known cost. Once content with the ordering values or suggested reorder quantities, the next step is to release the purchase order so that it is now eligible to be sent to the vendor contact. From here, we can email it directly to the vendor. When the items arrive, to receive the purchase order, simply select the PO and proceed to receive it. We may enter the packing slip ID and confirm the delivery date, and then proceed to the item review. Here we must do our due diligence to confirm that the units delivered match the unit's order quantity. We can repeat the process for each of the items on the purchase order until we have completed the review. For ease of this transaction, we will select Receive All, and the system adjusts the quantity received to match the quantity ordered, and assumes that we didn't have any shortages or overages in the ship. The system does allow you to receive a purchase order short if the vendor cannot deliver on the difference. You can also create a new purchase order for the difference if the vendor prefers you to submit a new PO for the open remaining quantities. The next step is to commit the values. These newly received amounts will then be added to the quantities on hand and will proceed to complete the delivery of this purchase order. There is also the option to print a receiving confirmation for our records. Once a purchase order has been received and completed, it is then posted into the historical purchase orders for easy review. This module also gives you access to other transaction types. If you have a multi-store environment, you can then perform transfers in and transfers out, either from a warehouse servicing a group of stores or receiving items transferred from another store location. You are also able to do the very same order requisition to request a transfer of merchandise from another location or transfer to another location based on similar purchase order logic of items sold within a date range or min-max values. There's also the option to enter accounting information relevant to purchase orders, review the vendor invoice, or review credit notices if you have been provided credit for merchandise that arrived damaged or any other credits the vendor may have applied. Here you can do a cost adjustment if there was a cost change between the point of order and the point of receipt. Offline inventory is ideal for tracking quarantined items that have been set aside for designation as to whether they are sellable or unsellable goods. You can then determine whether to write them off or return them to the vendor. Offline inventory is not available in the on-hand values available for sale unless transferred from offline inventory into active inventory. The System Tools menu allows you to have a very easy way to back up your data. You can also automate the backup of the database using SQL Server tools for automated actions as end-of-the-day procedure. Here, you also have access to the Label Designer, which allows you to configure your own layout and design for item labels and shelf tags. The Journal module allows you to view and/or post closed batches into your accounting or line of business ERP system. This creates an export file for batches by the day, and this view shows you any open batches that are unposted. This also allows you to update batch information for batches that were closed as blind batches, where the closing amounts were not entered because the cashier was in a rush or between busy shifts, and the batches now have to be reconciled in the back office. Setup module allows you to manage all system-specific information and is broken out as the modules are. This is where you can manage edits to any reason codes or tears related to merchandising. Under People and Security, you can set users and their roles, manage cashier permissions, and edit at a granular level what the users are allowed to do and not allowed to do. You can set password policies, including expiration dates, auto logouts for failed attempts, and password complexity rules. Inventory and Purchasing Setup allows you to set up shipping methods, shipping carriers, payment terms, authorized purchasers, charges which are non-inventory items like freight, shipping and handling, or other order-related services like packaging and processing. The Financial Setup area allows you to configure item taxes or sales taxes, and is also where you manage currencies and tender types. Tender types are the methods of payment you will accept at the point-of-sale user interface. In Setup, you can also manage customer accounts receivable rules, finance charges, payment terms, reason codes, and statement types. Hardware Setup manages anything having to do with hardware profiles, including your registers, whole display messages, point-of-sale profiles, which are the business rules for the retail registers, and point-of-sale layouts, which allows you to assign layouts unique to each register depending on its specified function. You can create POS task pads, which are button grids that allow the cashier to navigate the POS via touchscreen. This is where you would also set up all of your payment profiles and allows the interface with all supported merchant services providers for integrated credit card payments. The Reports module in the Store Manager system allows you to access one of two report writers. The Active Reports allows you to show reports whether you have a list of custom reports that you've modified, or you can view all of the standard reports. We can expand the view to be able to see some of the standard sales reports. Let's look at a detailed sales report that's tax inclusive. We'll sort by date sold and run it for today. We can apply some groupings, so we're going to view and sort this report by department. It's showing the total sales for the day, $3,202.05. We can see how each department performed. As you can see, we did about $13.98 in wine sales, liquor sales totaled about $890, and so forth. We can expand these departments to show the categories within them and how they performed. You can also do multi-sorts for department and category. This time, it will show how each category of wine performed within that given day and the subgrouping subtotals for that particular group. As you have seen here, RMH is a comprehensive way to manage all of your inventory, customer, and replenishment data in a simple-to-use interface. This allows you to track your performance and see data movement as it happens. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube and other social media channels to stay connected with New West. You can find all of our extensions available for trial on our downloads page, and you can also subscribe to our newsletter. If you have questions or if you would like to connect with our support or sales team, please call, email, or submit a request at our website at www.newwesttech.com.